Alberto Mielgo. If you haven't heard about him before, he's an artist and animator, and his work helped lay the foundation for Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. I recently learned about him and his work through Instagram, and I was instantly captivated by his style and how he does portraits, and I see that I wasn't the only one. I saw that other artists were drawing themselves in his style to see how they would look if they were featured in Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. But first, let's analyze the way he draws so we can get a better understanding and see how we can replicate it. We can see that he uses a lot of sharp and angular lines and mostly uses the lasso tool to lay down his colors and shadows. His use of bold colors and black outlines gives it a nice comic look and really make his work stand out. I love the way he simplifies the hair and how he uses a lot of texture brushes to add some visual interest. So to recap, we're going to be using sharp and angular lines for our colors and shadows. We're going to be using the lasso tool to lay down our colors. We're going to be using black for our line art to give it a comic look. And lastly, we're going to simplify the hair and add those texture brushes to really make it stand out. So let's see how we can make our own drawing using what we just learned. So here's me sketching myself, and here is the reference image that I used. I pretty much just winged it since I basically already know what I look like. After spending about 30 to 40 minutes on the sketch, it was time to start coloring. I did struggle with the colors at first. I ended up making my skin way too pale, so you're gonna see me tinkering with my skin color quite a few times until I get it right. And what I found really helpful on being able to do this drawing in style was keeping everything on its own layer. So right now I have a layer for just the skin, and on top of that I have another layer for the lips, the shading on the nose and the cheeks, the white of the eyes, and also on a layer on top I have one for the brown of the eyes, and the eyebrows, and of course the hair. So keeping those on different layers really helped me kind of keep those sharp lines without accidentally blending them with the skin. Later on I will end up merging it together, but at the beginning it was easier for me to keep them separated. And after all that's done, I'm going to start with the line art. On a new layer, I'm going to choose the brush pen, and I'm going to choose the color black, and I'm going to start laying down those lines. These lines is really what gives it that nice comic style. And I later on ended up changing some of the color of those lines just so they're not that harsh. Personally, in my style, I don't include any line art at all. I just include a very low opacity of my sketch underneath my art, so this was a pretty nice change. After that's done, I'm going to go on a layer on top. I'm going to set it to multiply, and I want to start adding some of those main shadows to my face. And once again, I'm using the brush pen, which really works well for adding those sharp lines in the shadows. And I'm going to have my lighting coming from the left side like he did on one of his portraits as well. So for the first layer of shadows, I'm just putting in some light purple color, which is what he does on most of his drawings as well. And then I'm gonna slightly add in some different shades of different colors in here just to keep the shadows more interesting. I add a bit of red on the edge of the shadows and some blue to give it a nice bounce light. I used a variety of brushes to make this portrait, and the one that I used the most is the brush pen, which already comes with Procreate. I also used my loose sketch brush for my sketch, and my blending brush. Both my blending brush and my sketch brush come together in a set of 6 brushes. If you want to check it out, the link will be in the description below. Besides that, I also used this wonderful set of brushes that I found from an artist on Instagram that I will be linking in the description below. After all that's done, you can see me once again messing with my skin color. Hopefully by this point I think I got it right. And then I flip my canvas and I realize that it looks so funny. So I have to liquefy it to make it look a little bit more like me, but then I realized that I overdid it, and then I'm gonna flip it again and it looks horrible once again. So please flip your canvas. That's my #1 tip for you guys. And use your liquefy tool to make everything look right without messing up your whole painting. So back to the drawing. I pulled up this art from a different artist that I found on Instagram, and I really like the way she shaded her hair, and her skin color was a bit darker than what Alberto does, so I used it as a reference for mine. I'm going to be linking her Instagram in the description below if you want to check her out. So by this point, I have already merged all of my layers together with the skin so I can start rendering. And on a new layer, I started rendering the skin and I didn't realize that I was doing it on the same layer as the hair, which almost gave me a panic attack. But thank God I caught that pretty quickly and I was able to move it to a different layer, because if I would have figured that out later, it would have been a lot harder to separate them. So at this point, I'm just playing around with the colors in the shadows, making it look a bit more interesting. And now I'm just adding in those highlights to the eyes, which really makes it pop. And now I'm doing what I said I did earlier. I'm going to color in that line art just a bit red, so it kind of blends in with my skin a bit more and doesn't stand all the way out, which I really think made it look nice. And now it's time to start working on the hair. I had this very light kind of bluish shade for the hair, but I changed my mind and went for a darker brown. My hair is black, so it's kind of hard to figure out what color to actually paint it instead of just black, because it's gonna look lifeless. So I just decided to go with a very dark brown. And honestly, I had so much fun working on the hair without having to focus way too much on the details. It was just pretty much working on the whole hair at once, instead of worrying about each section of hair like I usually do with my drawings. So it was a very nice change of pace. And now I'm doing my eyelashes, and I actually used the lasso tool to do my eyelashes, just drew small, thin little triangles to do them, and I think it gave it a really nice comic look. And now I'm just adding in that secondary light coming from the right side. I chose blue, and I think it really made it pop as well. I am adding this on a different layer on top, so just in case if I don't like it or if I want to change colors, I can just easily do that without messing up my whole portrait. And now lastly, I'm just going to be using those texture brushes, and these really made the portrait come together and give it that style that Across the Spiderverse has. And I honestly had so much fun working on this. I think I spent about 2-3 hours on it. I didn't even notice how much time it went by. By this point, I was almost forgetting to draw my glasses. I finally did them on a different layer. The easiest way to do these was just draw half of them and then duplicate it and then mirror it so I could have them both looking good. And then I just add in different colors that I have on my glasses. And that's pretty much it. Here is the final outcome, you guys. And I'm very happy with how this drawing came out. I hope you guys like it as much as I did. Please let me know in the comments below. And I really recommend you guys to try it out if you watch Spider-Man and you like it. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun for you guys. It's always good to kind of step out of your comfort zone and try new things, because I was kind of in a bit of a rut right before I made this drawing, and it really helped me come out of that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.